All right, welcome to your first online lecture. So, just to remind you, you're taking these notes on the right-hand side of the page. Make sure you put the margin down the side like we've been doing in class. And we'll go from there. Okay, so in class, we looked at some chemical symbols. So this is an example of a chemical symbol for copper sulfate. So, whoops. Use the pen. Sorry, the computer's running a little slowly. Okay, so the arrow points to this is the chemical symbol for sulfur here, the S. Chemical symbol for oxygen, O. Cu is copper. Why is it not CO? Well, there's another CO. The subscript right here, this number right here, tells us that there are 4 oxygens for each one Cu and one S. Now we're going to talk about that a lot more as the year goes on, but for now just know that for every copper and for every sulfur you have 4 oxygens. This AQ here, that tells you the state of matter. The ones that you're used to are solids, liquids, and gases. AQ means solution, and that's something that we'll be looking at more as the year goes on too. Okay, so all matter in the universe either is an element or is made of some combination of elements. So an element is, let's try a new color. Let's see, how about purple? Okay, an element is the simplest substances. So these can't be broken down into simpler ones by chemical reactions. So basically, if you have elements, that's what you got. You can't change them into any other element or any other substance. Now, a compound is 2 or more elements that combine, hence, combined in a fixed ratio. So like with copper sulfate on the previous slide, you know that there's 4 oxygens for every sulfur for every copper. And these are multiple elements bonded to each other. Now, if you can't tell, my handwriting, which is bad as it is, gets even worse when I use the stylus, but I think you guys should be able to read that. So, on the periodic table, each element is represented by a symbol. So, each element has 1 or 2 letters. And this is actually universally true. When I taught in Japan, we used the same periodic table with the same symbols, same letters. The first letter is always capital. That's the mistake that a lot of students make, is that they might make them all capital or all lowercase. Nope, the first letter of an element is always capital, and the second letter is always lowercase, if there is one. So a lot of the elements that we use on a regular basis, like oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, they only have 1 letter, and it's always capital. Other ones, like you saw with copper, was Cu, where the C was capitalized, and the U was lowercase. So where you can run into confusion like this, CO is not the same as CO. Where here we have, this is carbon monoxide, which is really dangerous, because you see you have capital C and capital O. And this is the element cobalt. So they're not at all the same. Now, compounds are represented by a chemical formula. This is multiple symbols put together. You can see in the chemical formula multiple symbols are put together. And the subscript tells you the ratio of each element to each other element. So another example is carbon dioxide, where we have 1 carbon and 2 oxygens. Now, there are 4 physical forms. A lot of students ask about things like plasmas, because now we have plasma TVs and everything. We're really going to focus mainly on 4 phases of matter. So S is a solid. So an example of this would be solid gold. L is a liquid. So this would be something like this, which is water. G is a gas. So what we breathe, well, we breathe in a lot of different things, but what we need for life is oxygen gas. And then what we saw with the copper sulfate, which is AQ, which is short for aqueous, which I think I spelled very wrong there, or a little bit easier word to spell, solution. So an example of this would be a solution of salt water. Because NaCl is salt, AQ means it's dissolved in water. And we'll add that here too, dissolved in water. Ooh, that's a terrible W. Okay. So, wrapping this lesson up. What chemical names and symbols tell you about matter? Remember, this is the essential question that we were studying with this lecture. With this lesson, I mean. So chemical symbols represent the elements. Each element has either a 1 or 2 letter symbol. First letter is always uppercase, the second letter is always lowercase. The chemical formula of a substance indicates what elements are in it, as well as the relative amounts of each element in that substance. And the symbols S, L, G, and AQ indicate the physical form or phase of a substance and whether it is dissolved in water. Okay, so that's it for the first online lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Remember, there's the Google form, where you can just put in any questions that you have about this lecture, and I will bring them up in class. Thank you.